let's face it, there's probably not a kidnapper. This is probably a murder. I mean, I'm sorry. That's what I think, as I thought for many days now. Those guys, my belief is whoever wrote those ransom notes was an opportunist trying to take advantage of a suffering family. And I'll go through with you what I kind of outlined it in my head. There was 41 minutes in that house. It was definitely, we know it was a kidnapper of sorts. It was an abductor, maybe not a kidnapper, but an abductor, because we know she didn't wander off on her own at random, because who took the Nest cameras? She might have had a senior moment where she fell and hit her head, whatever, and then wandered. Who took the Nest cameras? Did she? She fell and hit her head, and then she destroyed and took her 2 Nest cameras in the front and the back of her home? No, that didn't happen. Someone did take her. And so why would you take her? You either took her because you wanted to kidnap her for money, or you took her because you wanted to hurt her.
There is an 84-year-old grandmother somewhere out there right now, missing for nearly a month. An entire nation praying for her safe return. Law enforcement, hundreds of people working around the clock to bring her home. And Megyn Kelly is on her podcast talking about why the family isn't doing prayer vigils correctly. Y'all, we need to talk about this energy, because what Megyn Kelly has been putting into this situation is deeply spiritually dangerous. And the universe has already started responding. If you don't know the Nancy Guthrie case, let me catch you up fast, because context is everything here. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She is the mother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. She went missing from her Tucson, Arizona home on January 31st and has been gone for nearly a month. The FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Office are investigating her disappearance as a kidnapping. Several hundred people are assigned to this case across various law enforcement agencies. This is a family in crisis, a daughter watching every second of every day, wondering if her mother is still alive, a grandmother who needs medication to survive, and into that sacred and devastating space, Megyn Kelly decided to insert her negative energy. And the energy she brought was not light, was not healing, was not helpful. It was dark. It was accusatory. And spiritually, it was reckless. Let me give you the receipts, because I need you to understand the full scope of what this woman has been doing. Megyn Kelly looked back at a Today Show episode from November 2025 where Savannah visited her hometown of Tucson. She had lunch at a favorite Mexican restaurant with her sister Annie and their mother. Kelly noted that Nancy and Savannah were seated next to each other while Annie was eating silently at the opposite end of the table. And from where someone sat at a lunch table, Kelly wondered if there may be a sense of envy on Annie's part toward her famous sister. She implied that Annie, a woman's own daughter, may have orchestrated her mother's kidnapping based on seating arrangements at a Mexican restaurant. Now, I need y'all to sit with that energetically for a second, because where your mind goes in a crisis reveals your spirit. And Megyn Kelly's mind went straight to tearing apart a grieving daughter based on where she sat at dinner. That is not discernment. That is not journalism. That is darkness looking for somewhere to land. But it gets worse, because Megyn Kelly didn't stop at Annie. Kelly made a grim prediction about the case. She predicted Nancy Guthrie is dead, dismissing the kidnapping theory as unlikely, while the family was still publicly holding on to hope, while Savannah was posting videos saying she believes her mother is still out there. Let's be clear, there are others, including Sloan Bella, who have predicted Nancy Guthrie has passed, but it's the energy behind the way Megyn said it. Megyn Kelly looked into a camera and essentially told a daughter, your mother is probably dead. Get over the kidnapping theory. Now, I want to ask you something from a purely spiritual standpoint. What does it do to the energy field of a case, of a search, when someone with a major platform sends that kind of energy into it? In root work tradition, in spiritual understanding, words have weight, declarations have power. When you speak death over a situation that is still living, you are not predicting, you are projecting. And projection of that magnitude into a sacred situation where a family is fighting for their loved one's life, that is spiritually out of order. Full stop. But here's what I love about the universe. It does not let that energy sit unchallenged. The Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos came forward and confirmed publicly that the Guthrie family has been cleared. Every sibling, every spouse, and that they have been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. And then the sheriff did something remarkable. He said directly to the media, To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. I'm begging you, the media, to honor your profession and report with some sense of compassion and professionalism. A sheriff, in the middle of a massive kidnapping investigation, stopped what he was doing to publicly call out the energy being directed at this family. That is the universe using a law enforcement official as its instrument. Don't tell me there isn't something spiritual happening in this case. And then Chris Cuomo entered the chat. Former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo railed against Kelly on his News Nation show for spreading unfounded rumors about the case, calling her and other online personalities sloppy influencers and would-be sleuths who are just looking for clicks and rage bait. The sheriff said it was cruel. Chris Cuomo called it clickbait. And the internet dragged her. Now let me bring this fully into the spiritual conversation, because this is where I need y'all to really hear me. In spiritual tradition, specifically in the root work and energy work that I believe in, there is a concept of spiritual interference. The idea that when dark energy is consistently directed at a person or situation, it can create friction in the physical realm. It can complicate, it can misdirect, it can muddy waters that need to be clear. Savannah Guthrie is a woman of deep faith. She has spoken openly about her Christian faith for years and authored a book about seeking and finding God's love everywhere. This is a woman who is covered spiritually, who has a community praying for her, who has a nation sending light toward her family. And then you have Megyn Kelly, consistently, repeatedly, directing accusation and doubt and darkness at that same family. One of these energies is protective. One of these energies is corrosive. And you can see in the physical world which one is winning, because every time Megyn Kelly sends something dark at this family, the universe sends someone back to check her. Sheriff Nanos checked her, Chris Cuomo checked her, the internet checked her. And I want to get real for a second, because this goes beyond Megyn Kelly as an individual. What Megyn Kelly represents in this moment is something we've seen before. The media figure who mistakes cynicism for intelligence, who mistakes suspicion for insight, who has built an audience on being the person willing to say the dark thing, the negative thing, the accusatory thing. And there is an audience for that. I'm not going to pretend there isn't. But what that energy does to the people it targets is not a small thing. Critics questioned what Kelly gets out of announcing a grim conclusion before anything is confirmed, asking, why would you want to help dash the family's hopes before there's a reason for that? Just so you can say, I told you so, if it turns out you're right? That question right there is a spiritual question. What do you get out of sending darkness into a situation that desperately needs light? The answer in spiritual tradition is always the same. People who send darkness into sacred spaces are feeding something, and what they're feeding is never healing anything or anyone, including themselves. Now let me tell you what I'm actually feeling about the Guthrie family's energy, because this script isn't just about Megyn Kelly. It's about who the Guthrie family actually is in the spirit. Savannah Guthrie has been showing up with grace under a pressure that would break most people. She's posting videos, she's pleading publicly, she's releasing childhood memories of her mother. She has offered to pay the ransom and continues to tell her followers that someone out there recognizes this person, urging anyone with information to come forward. That is not the behavior of someone who has given up. That is not the energy of a family who is hiding something. That is a daughter who is spiritually anchored even in the worst moment of her life. And her mother, Nancy, an 84-year-old woman who raised children who show up like this under pressure? Whatever spiritual foundation Nancy Guthrie built in that family is holding them up right now. You can feel it in how they're moving. That is the energy that finds missing people. Not accusation, not cynicism, not dark predictions from podcast hosts. Faith, community, light directed at the right target. So here's what I want to leave y'all with today. Megyn Kelly is going to keep doing what she does. She's going to keep sending that energy into this situation, because that's her brand and that's her audience, and the universe will keep checking her every time she does. But what we can do, what this community can do, is make a deliberate choice about what energy we send into this case. Send light toward Nancy Guthrie. Send prayer toward that family. If you know something, say something. The tip line is active, and every piece of information matters. because an 84-year-old grandmother who deserves to come home is still out there. And the energy of millions of people choosing hope over cynicism, choosing faith over dark predictions, that matters spiritually, that matters practically. That matters in ways we may not be able to measure, but that I absolutely believe are real. Bring Nancy home. That's the only energy that belongs in this conversation. Drop in the comments what you're feeling about this case right now.